Tonight on NewsWatch, Islamic terrorism, why authorities now say Al-Qaeda may have fueled the Boston bombers.
Plus, the dogs of war. See how these amazing animals uncover explosives and save American lives.
And a Muslim mob with machetes. You won't believe why they killed this pastor and how his widow is now responding. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. The Boston bombing suspect is talking and says his older brother was the brains behind the attack. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Lori Johnson. Authorities say the brothers were motivated by their Islamic faith. We now know that the older of the two was an ardent reader of jihadist websites and extremist propaganda. And he was angry with America and Christianity. Heather Sells has the latest.
From his hospital bed, Johar Tsarnaev has started to answer questions. He's telling authorities that he built the pressure cooker bombs almost entirely from directions on the internet with no help from terrorists overseas.
I would characterize it as really self-radicalization. I mean, these are individuals who may have some connections overseas, but the primary radicalization is in places like the United States.
Still, authorities believe Al-Qaeda and the preaching of radical jihadist Anwar al-Awlaki may have inspired the two. The younger Tsarnaev told investigators today that his older brother, Tamerlan, was the brains behind the attack. Of particular interest, Tamerlan's 6-month trip to Russia and Chechnya last year. CBN's George Thomas recently reported Chechnya has been a volatile region, a place of numerous clashes between Muslim militants and Russian forces. It's also served as a training ground for militants dedicated to the global jihad. Neighbors say when Tamerlan returned from his trip, his views were more extreme, and he expressed anger about America and Christianity.
He said that the Bible is a cheap copy of the Quran. He said that most American wars are excused with the Bible.
A Boston area mosque also reports outbursts from Tamerlan during services in November and January, where he argued against celebrating American holidays and criticized Martin Luther King. More hard evidence is also emerging against the brothers. FBI court papers indicate that one of them told a carjacking victim, "Did you hear about the Boston explosion? I did that." In the midst of the investigation, Boston is moving on. Hundreds turned out for memorial service Monday for 23-year-old Lindsay Liu, one of 3 killed in the blasts. Of the more than 200 victims, 48 are still in the hospital, but doctors say all are expected to survive. As for the accused bomber, he is being charged with federal crimes that could bring the death penalty. Heather Sells, CBN News.
2 men accused of plotting a terrorist attack against a passenger train that runs from Canada to New York appeared briefly in court today. Canadian police took the men into custody on Monday. They face charges of conspiring to carry out an attack and murder people in association with a terror group. One is believed to be Tunisian and the other is from the United Arab Emirates. Officials say the men plan to derail a passenger train traveling from New York to Toronto under the guidance of al-Qaeda members in Iran. The Iranian government denies any involvement. More than 4 million people use that route every year.
There was a train going from Canada to the U.S., so obviously you would find a number of Americans who are on that.
Officials say the plot had no connection to last week's Boston Marathon bombings.
Hackers broke into the Associated Press Twitter account today, sending out a bogus tweet that the president had been injured by 2 explosions at the White House. It briefly sent the Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeting. AP later confirmed that they had suspended the account and were working on correcting the issue.
U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says the U.S. and Israel must maintain close ties with Mideast security challenges on the rise. Hagel's comments came ahead of a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today.
This is a difficult and dangerous time. This is a time when friends and allies must remain closer than ever. I'm committed to continue to strengthen this relationship.
It reflects a very deep alliance between our two countries in the defense of our common interests and our common values. Nowhere are these values and interests challenged more than by the arming of terrorist groups by Iran with sophisticated weapons, and equally Iran's attempt to arm itself with nuclear weapons.
Hagel has now headed to Jordan. The Pentagon has announced it's sending 200 U.S. soldiers to Jordan. They could be deployed to secure chemical weapons in neighboring Syria if necessary.
Flight delays are piling up around the country. It's because air traffic controllers are being forced to take days off due to budget cuts. Those automatic cuts came as a result of the so-called sequester, when Congress could not reach a deal to trim deficit spending. All FAA employees are losing 1 day of work every other week as a result. Some critics say the White House is using air travel as a pawn to make the sequester budget cuts look worse than they are. They argue the FAA could reduce its budget in ways that wouldn't delay travelers.
Joining us now by Skype is Bill Frenzel. He's a fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute and a Boston-based venture capitalist. Bill, do you think furloughing air traffic controllers is part of a deliberate strategy on the part of the Obama administration?
Well, we know one thing about Barack Obama. He's excellent at campaigning. That's his strongest suit. Better than governing, that's for sure. And I don't think there's any doubt right now that there's an attempt being made to convince the American people that we will all be better off if we pay more taxes. And directing these sequestration cuts where it causes the most pain is part of a strategy that's going to be playing out over the months ahead.
Do you think it's going to work? Will Americans demand a tax hike to end the sequester?
I doubt it. I think people have had a lot of time to think about this. I have a hard time imagining people marching in the streets to demand increased taxes. You know, look, these bureaucracies are vast and sprawling affairs. There are so many nooks and crannies that savings can be taken from. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee has identified $2.7 billion in cuts that can be done without affecting personnel at all. Why are we not looking into some of those?
Let's talk a little bit more about that. Why is the government refusing to cut in other less visible areas?
The claim that's being made is that their hands are tied. Now, remember, this is a claim that's being made by a president who loves executive orders, who has told the American people that if Congress refuses to act, he will act. And now all of a sudden, he's sitting back and saying, oh, my God, there's nothing I can do. We've got to go at the detailed account level, and we've got to cut everybody back. So all of a sudden, our air traffic controllers have to be furloughed 1 day in 10. They're trying to save $600 million. How about the $500 million they're spending on consultants? How about the $325 million they're spending on supplies and air travel? How about their private jet fleet? Why do they have to run 46 aircrafts on their own, spending $143 million a year? Why can't they fly commercial? And in fact, as the Department of Transportation is just now giving out a $474 million grant to improve the livability and sustainability of communities. I mean, can't we put the bike paths on hold so the traveling public can get to where they need to go?
Well, Bill, would a private company handle a 5% budget cut this way by angering its customer base?
You know, being a director of several companies who have recently gone through budget cuts and have executives volunteered to take half pay to keep the lights on, I can tell you that the last thing you want to do is make your customers angry. Of course, that assumes that the American government thinks we're customers and not subjects.
Very, very interesting. Well, Bill Frenzel, once again, a fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute and a Boston-based venture capitalist. Thank you for your insights. Bill, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
A new bill working its way through the Senate could mean new taxes on your internet shopping. The bill would give states the ability to require online retailers to collect state and local sales taxes. That tax would be sent to the state where the shopper lives. Under current law, states can only require stores to collect sales taxes if the store has a physical location in the state. So many online sales are essentially tax-free. The Senate could pass the bill this week. The White House supports it, but it could face trouble in the House. Opponents say it would impose complicated regulations.
Conservative billionaire brothers Charles and David Koch could be the future owners of 8 large newspapers owned by the media giant Tribune Company. Among the papers that could be for sale are the LA Times and the Chicago Tribune. Speculation is that the brothers may be looking to buy the newspapers as an editorial platform for their conservative libertarian beliefs. The papers are valued at roughly over $600 million.
The judge in the trial of a Philadelphia abortion doctor has thrown out 3 of the 8 charges of murder he faces. Prosecutors charged Dr. Kermit Gosnell in the death of a 41-year-old patient and 7 babies reportedly born alive. They told jurors the babies were killed by Gosnell and his staff by cutting their spines. Gosnell's attorney has argued that there was no scientific or objective evidence that they were born alive. Today, the judge dismissed 3 of the babies' murder charges without explaining why. Former employees have been convicted and testified against Gosnell, acknowledging that patients received anesthesia and labor-inducing drugs from untrained staff in squalid conditions.
France lawmakers voted today to legalize gay marriage. This comes after months of heavy debate and protests that flooded the streets of Paris. Opponents of the law say France is not ready to legalize adoption for same-sex couples, and polls show the country is sharply divided on the issue. France becomes the 14th country to pass a law allowing gay marriage, following New Zealand last week. Authorities in Paris are bracing for possible violence in the wake of the decision.
Coming up, a soldier's best friend, military dogs who risk their lives to keep American troops safe. See how these canine heroes train for combat.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, calloused feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
The government is seeking a 45-year prison term for the man who attacked the Washington, D.C. headquarters of the Family Research Council last year. Floyd Corkins pleaded guilty to assault with intent to kill and committing an act of terrorism. Corkins confessed he planned to kill as many people as possible at the conservative Christian lobbying group. He wounded a security guard who was still able to subdue him in the lobby. Corkins was mad because of the Family Research Council's opposition to gay marriage.
The U.S. Army is directing troops to remove scripture etched into their military scopes. The passages from John and 2 Corinthians were inscribed on them by the manufacturer Trigicon. Soldiers at Fort Wainwright in Alaska told Fox News they were ordered to submit their scopes so the Bible verses could be scraped off and painted over with black paint. Disturbing. An Army spokesman said Trigicon has agreed to remove scripture from future orders.
Ohio's 4 largest cities will hold marathons in the next month, and for the first time ever, National Guard bomb-sniffing dogs will be on hand as part of heightened security measures.
The U.S. military has some 3,000 dogs that provide security for events like this and also serve with valor alongside our men and women in uniform.
When SEAL Team 6 took out Osama bin Laden,
They had the help of Cairo, not the Egyptian government, but a specially trained Belgian Malinois like this dog, known as Gizmo. As you can see, Gizmo takes his job very seriously. He is one of dozens of dogs trained at American Canine Interdiction in southeastern Virginia. Other breeds include German Shepherds, Dutch Shepherds, and Labrador Retrievers. Like their human counterparts, the dogs go through rigorous training to protect our country and our troops.
We've got to get it right 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because bad guys only got to get lucky once. So it's imperative that dogs are properly conditioned and trained.
Paul Rusha makes sure the dogs are at the top of their game. Handlers train the dogs in detecting explosives and narcotics, on and off leash, tracking, trailing, and patrolling. The dogs are also trained in bite work and criminal apprehension. Renzo here is an 85-pound Dutch Shepherd who's now applying around 600 to 800 pounds of pressure on my arm.
It's got to be a very, very sound dog all the way around, because the task it's performing is critical to saving lives and infrastructure, safeguarding American assets.
Rusha says mediocrity is not an option. He turns to God for help, taking time to pray over the dogs.
I'm asking for the Lord's guidance, that the dogs get it, that they perform.
One of the key areas of performance for dogs trained at A-Canine is explosive detection. Handlers allowed CBN News to watch an off-leash training session. In this scenario, which resembles what happens in Afghanistan, Coco, a chocolate lab, must sniff out a simulated IED or explosive alongside a road before military personnel and their equipment travel down it. The handler looks for a change of behavior in the dog. In this case, once Coco smells the odor of the explosive, she lies down near its location.
I've deployed a couple different groups of Marines, and I told them, they said, "Do you have any advice for us?" I said, "Yes, trust your dog."
What makes dogs like Coco so special is their highly developed sense of smell. They're able to cover a lot of ground in a short period of time to make a hit on a dangerous substance.
And to date, no machine on the market can match their olfactory capability or their accuracy. The ability to send them out 250 to 500 yards ahead of the troops to act as a buffer and an early warning mechanism. There's no machinery out there on the market that can do that.
Trainers at A-Canine say the bond between handlers and their dogs is very strong. Senior patrol dog trainer Eric Favetta served as a canine handler in Afghanistan. His dog also made it back alive.
There's no definite that you're going to come back to the fob at the end of the night, but knowing that you have your partner standing there next to you kind of gives you a little bit of a better feeling that you're going to make it home.
Dogs have been serving with U.S. troops for centuries. In the year 2000, adopting certain war dogs became legal. More than 300 retired war dogs are now put up for adoption every year. A fitting reward for dogs who truly exemplify what it means to be man's best friend.
Each day, we contribute to the defense of this great nation. And at the same time, give all praise and glory to God.
Up next, militant Muslims have threatened to kill a man because of this exclusive videotape and pictures he shot. Find out more next.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Help!
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Welcome back. An Iraqi pastor imprisoned for nearly 2 years is free due to the efforts of a U.S. ministry and an Oklahoma senator. Abdi Ali Hamza, better known as Pastor Jamal, spent 21 months in prison. Jamal is a Christian who converted from Islam and has been working to spread the gospel in northern Iraq. He worked with U.S.-based World Compassion to distribute food to refugees. World Compassion's Terry Law met with officials in northern Iraq, carrying a letter from Oklahoma Senator James Inhofe requesting Jamal's release. Eventually, President Massoud Barzani of the Kurdish regional government granted Jamal amnesty. Jamal is now in a safe place, receiving trauma counseling and medical attention.
Once again, a wave of deadly Islamic persecution has been unleashed against Christians, this time in the African nation of Tanzania. And some pastors have already paid for it with their lives. Gary Lane brings us this chilling story from Zanzibar.
Tanzanian Christians are growing and witnessing a new unity, but Christians have paid a painful price.
I burst into tears and shouted, my Jesus, why have you forsaken me?"
That was Generosa Kachila's reaction when her neighbors stormed in with nightmarish news. In February, a Muslim mob brandishing machetes murdered Generosa's husband, Pastor Matteo Kachila. The brutal attack occurred as the pastor walked to the home of a friend. The motive? Anger grew after Christians began butchering and selling meat. The lucrative business traditionally belonged to Muslims, who prepare it in their religious way known as halal. In his last few breaths, Pastor Matteo identified his killer. Ezekiel Meshach says the pastor told him it was a neighbor named Abdullah.
I was not surprised, because just before the attack, I saw Abdullah leaving the mosque carrying a machete. He grew a long beard and often wore pants and a vest that resembled those worn by Taliban fighters.
Locals believe Abdullah fled to neighboring Burundi. Victor Lagala is also on the run, but not for committing murder. Militant Muslims threatened to kill him because he videotaped the riot, capturing their images on camera. Lagala also visited the local morgue and shot exclusive photos and video of the deceased pastor's wounds. They are too graphic to show without blurring the images.
I was highly affected by seeing the pastor killed in that way because he was a fellow Christian, and I didn't have any power to rescue his life, but only to watch events unfold. I have known him for a long time. I want the whole world to learn what has happened to our country, so nothing like this will happen again.
And it's not just Protestant pastors that are facing these threats. Catholics are also being targeted. Last February, Father Everest Moshe was coming here to celebrate Mass at this church. He was gunned down about 10 meters from here. Sister Maria Gaspara says Father Moshe was a kind and loving man who possessed a good sense of humor.
Devoted to his work, he loved Jesus.
Some Tanzanian Christians say Father Moshe's murder proves the goal of Islamic extremists is to target church leaders.
This is a long-term plan of Islamizing the whole of the Tanzanian nation. Islamic leaders have urged Muslims to come together to attack, fight, and kill bishops, priests, and pastors.
Anglican Bishop Michael Hafide was among those targeted. He says many Zanzibarian Christians are afraid.
We are sometimes strong, but we are human beings. Fear is coming sometimes. They don't know tomorrow what's going to happen for me or for another one. I tell my congregation don't afraid of anything. God got us.
And widow Generosa Kachila believes God is with her and her 12 children. She trusts He will provide for them. She says God has a greater purpose in Mateo's death.
I believe God knew Mateo's destiny, and no matter how he lived, it was necessary that he go through this so that it would be a lesson to the remaining people, but also so the Lord can harvest into His kingdom.
And while the recent deaths of these faithful pastors now leave even fewer laborers, Tanzanian Christians say they are ready to follow their example and reap a bountiful harvest. Gary Lane, CBN News, Zanzibar.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today. Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
If you're a Yankees or Rays fan, you may have noticed a true hero on the mound last night.
That's right. Marine Sergeant Amputee Mike Nicholson threw out the first pitch. The 23-year-old lost his arm and both legs in an IED attack. He says the honor was a fitting tribute.
I saw the videos. It was like, looks just like Afghanistan. You just figure out how to do it and move on with life. I mean, if you sit there and sulk about it, then you're never going to get through it.
If you can walk into a battle, I think you can throw a pitch.
He's got a good arm. The group Tunnels to Towers and actor Gary Sinise are teaming up to build Nicholson a smart home later this year. Wow, that man has great faith, doesn't he?
Absolutely. What an inspiration to all of us.
Great attitude. That's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone.